Modern dating is the worst it has ever been. Men and women are being pitted against one another. Both sides are losing and becoming very bitter. I personally have not seen anyone helping disenfranchised men learn how to communicate and relate to women. Being told 3,000 times that you need to find someone to be submissive to you is not helping you. I used to be a feminist before I saw the effects of third wave feminism. Men are isolated and they're terrified of pursuing a woman. And this has forced women into masculine roles where they are pursuing men. I think everyone can agree that this is not natural. And it seems that there are more and more people not starting a family. We need to focus on creating proper communication between men and women. We don't want men walking on eggshells and women being put in a masculine role.
Have you ever wondered why so many men, despite all the opportunities for love, success, and companionship, are still choosing to walk away from relationships with women? It's a growing trend that's hard to ignore, and the numbers don't lie. More and more men are choosing to stay single. But here's the real question. Why? Today, we're going to explore the reasons behind this fascinating and, to some, troubling phenomenon. From rising expectations to emotional exhaustion, it's time we dig deep and understand what's happening. Are women to blame? Or is there something bigger at play? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why this trend isn't just about men walking away. It's about a fundamental shift in the way relationships are being approached in today's world. Are you ready to find out what's really going on? Let's dive in. The changing landscape of relationships. First, let's look at the big picture. Relationships have always been the foundation of human connection. But in today's world, the dynamics between men and women are shifting faster than ever before. In the past, relationships were built on traditional roles, men providing, protecting, and women nurturing. It was a system that worked for decades. But today, things are different. Women are more empowered, independent, and career-driven than ever before. And this has created a new set of expectations in relationships. While this is an incredible step forward for gender equality, it's also introduced challenges. Men are finding themselves in a new world, where the lines between romance, personal ambition, and emotional investment are blurred. Here's where it gets interesting. Are these shifting dynamics simply too much for men to navigate? Let's break it down. The rise of unrealistic expectations. One of the most significant reasons men are walking away is the unrealistic expectations placed on them, both from society and from their partners. Let's be real. Modern women are incredible. They're successful, confident, and demand the best. But as these expectations rise, so does the pressure on men to perform in ways that feel impossible. Think about it. In a world where women expect equality, emotional intelligence, career success, and a perfect family life, how is a man supposed to keep up? Men are often told they need to be the protector, the provider, and the emotional rock, all while being vulnerable, supportive, and nurturing. It's a balancing act that many simply can't maintain. Now, here's where it gets tricky. Is it the expectations themselves that are the problem? Or is it the lack of understanding on both sides about how to meet those expectations? Keep that thought in mind as we move into the next reason, because it's about to get personal. Emotional exhaustion and the fear of losing self. Here's the cold, hard truth. Many men are walking away because of emotional exhaustion. The constant juggling act of meeting high expectations, staying true to their goals, and maintaining an emotionally fulfilling relationship is draining. In many cases, these men feel that they're giving so much of themselves that there's little left for their own well-being. Men today are increasingly choosing to protect their mental health and emotional stability. Relationships, as they stand now, require a lot of emotional labor, and it's not always reciprocated. The emotional demands on men can feel suffocating, and some are realizing that their personal happiness is being compromised in the process. But here's the thing. Is this a case of men becoming emotionally distant? Or are women simply not recognizing the emotional toll of modern relationships? What happens when both parties are unaware of the mental strain they're under? Okay, let's hit pause for a second. If you've ever felt emotionally drained by a relationship, leave a comment below. I know some of you are nodding right now, and trust me, I get it. Let's keep going. The loss of masculine identity and fear of vulnerability. Another crucial reason why men are walking away is the loss of their masculine identity in modern relationships. For generations, men have been expected to be strong, stoic, and unemotional. But as the lines between gender roles blur, men are being asked to show more vulnerability, more sensitivity, and more openness than ever before. While this shift is important and healthy in many ways, it's also creating confusion and fear. Men are afraid of losing themselves. They're afraid that by being vulnerable, they will become weak in the eyes of their partners. The traditional idea of masculinity is being challenged, and for many men, this causes internal conflict. They want to be emotionally available, but they also don't want to feel like they're compromising their strength or identity. This fear of vulnerability is a real issue in today's relationships. Let's talk about modern dating culture. The rise of dating apps, hookup culture, and the ever-present option of the next best thing has created a toxic environment where commitment feels more like a risk than a reward. For many men, the fear of commitment has reached new heights. With so many options at their fingertips, they're asking themselves, why settle down when I can experience variety and freedom? The concept of the one seems outdated when instant gratification and emotional detachment are so readily available. So, as relationships become more transactional, the appeal of long-term commitment is fading. Men are walking away from the idea of settling down, not because they don't want love, but because they're unsure if it's worth the emotional cost. But here's the catch. Will this trend of avoiding commitment continue, or will it eventually lead to a desire for deeper connections? Stick around because the answer might surprise you.
Hi guys, I'm so sad right now because I just came to a realization. These past few days have been so hard for me, because you know how men say that women have toxic feminism, and you'll get to a certain age and no one will want to marry you and no one will love you. I feel like I've gotten to that point, guys. I was so hung on to this feminism thing, and I missed out on marriage and on children. And now I'm at a point in my life where I'm so bitter. I'm so jealous of people who have marriages because they are so happy and their husbands don't even cheat on them. And men are just the best. Right now is when I'm realizing I can't do without them. And right now I'm I don't care if you are rich or poor, tall, dark, handsome, ugly. Me, I don't care, by the way. As long as you're a man and you're breathing, that's the only qualification I need, because I'm just so desperate for a husband. There's a lot of pressure around me, so if you can DM me and propose, I swear I'll behave and I'll marry you immediately. I'll wash your clothes, I'll cook for you, I'll have your children, and I'll be obedient.
Conclusion. So, what does all of this mean? It means that men aren't walking away from relationships just because of women. They're walking away because they feel overwhelmed by unrealistic expectations, emotional exhaustion, and a fear of losing themselves in a relationship. And while this isn't a blame game, it's a wake-up call for all of us to reflect on the kind of relationships we're creating. If we want to see more fulfilling connections, we need to understand the pressures both sides are facing. Men and women need to create space for mutual respect, communication, and self-care. Only then can we build the kind of relationships that truly last. If this video got you thinking, I highly recommend checking out my next video on dating advice. We'll dive into how to build healthier, more fulfilling relationships that work for both partners. Click the link right here to watch it now, and let's start building relationships that make sense for both of you. And that wraps up today's episode of Manosphere Daily. If you enjoyed the content, give it a like. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified as soon as a new video is out. Share your thoughts in the comments below. See you all tomorrow.